Hello, it's April 22nd, I believe. I'm on my way to the clinic. Got to deal with my health issues, so I'm going to have a consultation with my doctor about some of my health issues. It's been a busy day. Just as I was stepping out my door, after calling the clinic, telling the clinic that I was going to be a little bit late, got held up with I got shut down again. I don't know about these batteries, they're not the best. What I wanted to talk about was men in general, not the exception to the rule, and generally young men. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I read something on Facebook here that actually sparked off a point of interest, you might say. How do I talk about this? Young men are pretty naive, okay? And young men tend to be very egocentric. Well, we're going to try this camera again. I'm not sure why it keeps turning off. I think it has to do with the contacts at the bottom where the batteries go in. The plastic has expanded somewhat and breaks contact, and when it does, the camera fights to get connection again. I'm not really sure how to fix that unless I use maybe black electrical tape to hold the bottom in tighter so that the contacts in the camera, or maybe wrap an elastic band around it. Now there's a thought. Anyway, back from my medical doctor appointment, lots of stuff going on there. Got prescriptions that have to rearrange for another time so that I can get some transportation into the city to have this looked at, because he's quite certain now that I may be suffering from gallstones. Is this thing still working? Appears to be. So used to it breaking down. What I wanted to mention is I know that in a lot of my videos I address the problem of neo-feminist misandry, which basically is explained by what women think feminism is today. I'm not talking about the exception. Okay? What neo-feminists, I call them neo-feminists for a reason, because original feminism was a good thing. It was a group of women, it started by a group of women in England, feminism. They were fighting for the right to stay at home, work in the field, and be mothers to their children, and stay with their husbands rather than working in the sweat factories, sometimes 14, 16 hours, in England. All right, being owned by the corporation, which is basically where our economy is taking us these days. Isn't that a nice roundabout? Feminism versus neo-feminism. They should call it what it is. It's not feminism. It's neo-feminism. It is man-hating. That's the second part of it. Misandry means man-hater. A misandrist is a man-hater. Okay? And that's basically what most of these so-called feminists are. They are misandrists. They hate men. A good many of them are lesbians. Okay? It's a fact. You know, I'm not making this stuff up. A good many of feminists are lesbians. Okay? And they hate men. And their organization is growing. And they are not real feminists, because real feminists originally believed in being keepers of the home and living with their husbands and raising their families. And that has all been changed. You know, you talk about, people often talk about the book 1984 and doublespeak. There's your feminism today. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Anyway, I digress. I know about this stuff, though. That's why I talk about it. That's why I do walkabouts. I try to educate people about it. But I'm going to do a series here which is quite the opposite. I'm going to get on the cases of young men, because young men are predominantly arrogant and naive and egotistic, and they live as though they think they're going to live forever or something, or they're always going to be young, and they're not. And a lot of this contributes to the whole neo-feminist misandrist problem we're having today, because a lot of young men are really disgusting dogs. Okay? They are not interested in committing themselves to a loyal and loving wife. Oh no. There it is. Did it again. I was saying, young men, generally. And again, I'm not talking about the exception, I'm talking about the rule. Young men just want to get their jollies, you know, get their fix, and leave a woman high and dry, and don't want to take responsibility for their progeny. That's what dogs do. That's why I call them dogs, because they act like dogs. They behave like dogs. And they think it's funny. I'm not joking. I'll never forget an incident once. I was on the Greyhound bus, and I was listening to a young man bragging about how he spread his seed coast to coast, and how he, you know, I don't know how much of it was exaggeration, but I doubt that some of it was. And you know, he thought this is a joke. All the children he had spawned, all the women he had deserted. It's not funny. It's not a joking matter. Those children need a loving father. I'll tell you, I'm in my 50s, but it was all that I could do from jumping up. You know, I'm not a violent man, but, you know, that was one thing that I wanted to punch his lights out. God have mercy. I know that's wrong. But that's not funny. That's sad. And when you start bragging about stuff like that, you need your head examined. Little children don't know any better. But that's the problem, you see. Young boys often don't have a father to sit them down and explain to them why it is so essential to take responsibility for your progeny, to be fathers to your children, to love them, to protect them, to nurture them. That's what a husband does, by the way. That's husbandry. And, you know, I'm just grateful to God that I had a father who kept a roof over my head, clothes on my back, and some food in my belly, and tried to teach me right from wrong. But a lot of these young boys grow up without any of that. And so that explains why now, today, so many young men are dogs and have no respect for women. And it's got to stop, guys. It's got to stop. You know, we're either part of the solution or we are part of the problem. And I know, well, she wasn't like that. They could, you know, we can use that, but we have to set the example. We're men. We have to give the ladies something to look up to. God bless you. Thanks for listening.